What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of 21 Questions, the question and answer show brought to you by the KCSN Discord. Your questions, when you subscribe to the KCSN Substack, you get access to the Discord. You can put your questions in there and submit them for us to answer. My name is Craig Stout, and I am joined by one Joshua Briscoe. Josh, I am very excited to do 21 questions with you, sir. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. You know this. The audience, I won't tell them everything, but I will tell them that as we have sat here to do the show together, as you were doing the intro, I took what was the final sip of coffee in my cup, because that's how long that we've been talking about board games and video games in the pre-show meeting that we just had. I have refilled my coffee
twice in the pre-show meeting. Twice. So, yes, that's how long we've been nerding out about video games, board games, everything non-football. But we are ready to get to your football questions. And once again, coming from the KCSN Discord, this is from a new user to the KCSN Discord. And a great question to lead off with here. The Chopped and Screwed asked, with reinforcements still coming for the offense and defense playing great for the last few weeks, do the Chiefs go offense or defense before the trade deadline, or are we all still screaming running back right now, Josh?
I mean, I still do kind of think that's probably the only position that makes sense right now. I have a really hard time. This is a compliment, I guess. I have a really hard time thinking that Spags is in a meeting room right now going, man, we gotta go make a move for a safety. You know, like things look kind of dark in week 1 where you're like, oh God, like did Jaden Hicks get over leveraged here? Is Brian Cook ready for this? What's Shamari Connor's job? And then weeks 2, 3, and 4, I think we got really good answers to all those questions, which no, I think it's pretty well settled. And good Lord, fingers crossed, knock on wood, salt over my shoulder, wish on a star. If the wide receiver room gets to and through week 7 healthy and together, and then that group continues, it's actually a really deep group. I kind of buy what the Chiefs told us in training camp about, like, yeah, this is actually the deepest group we've had of wide receivers. 1 through 7 or whatever. That's actually kind of panned out. You just haven't had them, and for a while you didn't have either of your top 2 guys. So I don't think we're in any sort of like trade for a guard because Kingsley's a disaster territory. I think that ship has largely sailed. You've got Jalen Moore and Mike Caliendo there anyway. I think it's probably running back or nothing. Even the like defensive tackle thing where they've obviously made one trade there already. Omar Norman-Lott's eaten some snaps. I think Jerry Tillery's been fine. Derek Nottie is Derek Nottie. I don't know. I think running back seems like the only spot where it's like, yeah, a guy could come in mid-season and raise the floor and the ceiling.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think those are the two positions that we looked at right now. The Chiefs are still terrible against heavy personnel, against the run, but I mean, I hate what's about to come out of my mouth is going to be really, really awful here, but Kent was right. If the offense is clicking in a way that you can come out there and you can regularly put points on the board, your points per drive goes up. Right now, the Chiefs are I think it's the Dolphins and the Chiefs are at the very bottom of number of drives that they have executed. And that's largely because they haven't had some of these explosive plays. They haven't been able to move the ball at will. They move the ball fine, but it's not been like big chunks of yardage. So you got all of this put together. They need a little more juice behind it. They need a little more ability to rip off explosive passes, rip off explosive runs. That's not coming without a running back position here, but that's a great way to get rid of the running game on the other side of the ball there. However, if the right defensive tackle was up there, absolutely. Like I do think that they would be willing to go that route. It seems like they tried to add a few people. I mean, they talked about, Brett Veach talked about how Derek Nottie was maybe the last guy that they were looking at there, that they had several other trade candidates that they were trying to land. So I do think that while it's been largely fine and while you expect that, these Spags will be able to put something together, if the right guy's available, I certainly think that they'd add it to the defensive tackle room. But man, just go get me Breece Hall. I know that Braylon Allen is hurt over there in New York, but that is a dead franchise. He is very disgruntled. They do not want to pay that man. Luckily, Braylon Allen is not probably going to be out for an extended period of time, so that would actually make the Jets maybe closer to the trade deadline consider this a little bit more. Just go get me a guy with some vision, a little bit of speed. I just want league average or better to be like the primary running back. I know everybody's hoping for Alvin Kamara. I get it. Like, I completely understand trying to add a guy with that much ability to break a defense. But man, I think we'd all be shocked at what a Breece Hall level running back in this offense would look like. So I fully agree. I think running back is the position with a slight sleeper dark horse towards defensive tackle there. All right. Grayson Jaspers asks here, what's Jalen Watson's contract look like next year? Would you want to re-sign him, Josh?
Oh, I mean, in a vacuum, I would absolutely want to re-sign him. He's been really good and is like an extreme scheme fit, or the bare minimum. Spags knows exactly how to use him, where he's getting the most out of him. I don't have. I mean, I might pull up the like cornerback. Spot track page or whatever.
Yeah.
My hunch is that he's probably going to make too much money for the Chiefs to afford. Certainly they want to keep Trent McDuffie. And I love Jalen Watson. I love Trent McDuffie more. I think Spags loves Trent McDuffie more. I know Christian Fulton has to this point been a little bit of a disappointment on the injury front, just not being on the field, right? I think you're looking at next year. That did come up in some of the advanced scouting when I went to the Pro Football Reference page and looked at games played. But yeah, I do think his second year of his contract is much more flexible. But I think right now it's probably more likely that 2026 is Trent McDuffie, Noel Williams, and then maybe it's Christian Fulton. Maybe there's somebody else or some other fifth-round rookie who will be starting by week 6. But I'm guessing that he's probably going to get priced out. And good for him as a very late pick who has had an absolutely remarkable start to his career. Also a guy playing through a shoulder injury from like week 2 on through an entire season. So I really like Jalen Watson, but I think the league's going to like him too.
Yeah, I'll be the first to say it right here. I was wrong about Jalen Watson coming into this season. I was fairly doom and gloom about the cornerback room, and was after week 1. Definitely confirmed a lot of my friars that now are no longer true. Jalen Watson's been outstanding this year. So I thought maybe we were going to see a little bit of a step back, what we saw at the end of last year. Again, coming off of injury, I thought maybe the injury had sapped a little bit. Certainly he just needed the offseason to recover there. And so that's great. It's awesome that the Chiefs have a guy that they can count on in that way. But I'm with you, Josh. I think that the rest of the league, the way that he has played over the last 2 seasons, the rest of the league are going to look at him much like they looked at Charvarius Ward and say, you know what? We are willing to make you a highly paid cornerback. And the Chiefs are going to look at their coaching staff, specifically Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnolo, and say, guess what? We can do this again. We feel confident that we can turn this around because we keep doing it with day 3 guys. And one of the guys that we're looking at is actually a day 2 guy. Follow-up question here from Hokie Chief. Does a continued successful Knoll season mean that Watson won't be back? Absolutely. That is really, they talked about it a little bit this week, that, they've been afforded the chance to move Trent McDuffie more into the slot because of Noel Williams' development. He's still got to work on some stuff. He's very, very physical to the point where sometimes, he's got those hands up in people's faces. He's grabby, he's things like that. But these are all things that they coached out of guys like L'Jarius Sneed, that they coached out of guys like Charvarius Ward. I fully believe that they will be able to rely on Noel Williams. You got to keep a safety over the top. Doesn't have the long speed, but you know what? If you got a guy that's going to press like that underneath, tackle like that underneath, and play the ball in the short to intermediate area the way that he does, that is exactly. Steve Spagnolo can work with that in a major, major way. So worst case scenario, next year you see Noel Williams and Trent McDuffie on the outside as they're still rotating guys like Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor into the slot, and we all wring our hands about it. And guess what? It's still okay. Josh, any further thoughts about Noel Williams there?
Yeah, just that there is such an unbelievable arrogance that comes with a team saying, no, we're going to let this very good football player go because we can make another you in about 6 months. And it would be an irresponsible arrogance if the Chiefs didn't keep doing it. Oh, like, I know I'm going to mention a couple names here that have some extra feelings around them. Joshua Williams was a part of a very good defense playing functional football within his skill set. Yeah. Najee Johnson, after the knee injury, I know he was never quite the same. I think they still were kind of buying into some of the pre-ACL hope. Yeah. And he must be a smart enough guy that Spags trusts him because he kept getting that kind of hat tip, right? Of like, no, we'd rather have him out there than the better athlete who doesn't know what's going on. They've gotten serviceable play out of players who have phased out, and they've gotten very good play from good players, and I think they've gotten elite play from very good players. Again, and right. Charvarius Ward, I think has been having a good season so far in Indianapolis.
He has.
And obviously the L'Jarius Sneed thing is just injury based, and we saw what happened there. But I don't know if there's any way for Dave Merritt to get enough credit like nationally, so I think we just have to keep saying his name as much as possible here. And I've told this is a tiny story that I've told a million times now because it was, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago now. I was out at Chiefs minicamp. I don't think it was a rookie minicamp, but I think it was like OTAs, one of the small practices. And I was out there and far enough away from the action that I looked over, and I think it was rookie L'Jarius Sneed. I can't remember for sure now, but I looked over and I saw him off on the side, like doing some like footwork stuff with the coach in front of him. I was looking over and trying to figure out kind of what was going on. And I looked long enough to realize that the coach who was doing some hand placement, he was doing hand placement on Sneed and vice versa. And I watched long enough to realize that L'Jarius Sneed was lined up across from Steve Spagnolo. And that picture has just stuck in. Practice was still going, Craig. The defense was doing things, but Spags and L'Jarius Sneed were off the field just doing like jam technique stuff or whatever. And I have thought about that a lot since that moment, because it was one of my first, like, no pun intended, hands-on experiences of seeing Spags just going into teacher mode the way that he and Andy Reid talk about and are so fun to watch do that way. So I think what he and Dave Merritt have done at this position group is unbelievable, and apparently they've done it again with Mo Williams. Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. And it's one of those, it's so funny to kind of, Spags is, we'll get into this later, but Spags' evolution throughout all of this. You remember when he came to Kansas City, it was, okay, well, let's focus on the defensive line because of how, his traditional preferences and how he likes to kick defensive ends inside and all of that. And all he's done since he's been in Kansas City is just fix secondaries with Dave Merritt. Like it really is, that year off that he had being kind of an advisor in Baltimore and spending more time looking at coverages. I say this all the time, probably said it 40 million times over the past, since Steve Spagnolo has been here in 2019. But he came in and he said, I realized that if you're static, you're dead. And that is the thing that I want, you can't just run static coverages anymore. Now, ignore the fact that like 4 years ago with Joshua Williams out there, they ran like static cover 2 for most of the year because that's all they could run out there. But that's what, that it changed his philosophy pretty significantly there. And part of that was because Dave Merritt became such an involved figure in that. I was so mad when Sam Madison left this team. Like I was genuinely upset. And honestly, it might have been the best thing because it gave Dave Merritt more access to corners, more access to some of that. So that dovetails right into our next question here from Andrew Schnittker. At what point should we be worried about losing Dave Merritt to a defensive coordinator job, Josh?
2 years ago. Next question. Have you not been? I have been.
I've been terrified. Yeah.
He had that one meeting with the Niners, and it was like, oh, man, this would be a really smart hire. It's not quite as insular as it seems like Shanahan tends to go and kind of wanted to reunite, and obviously he ended up going that way. But no, I've been afraid of that for a long time. And he's even talked about, I think for a while, it was just like waiting until his kid got to college age because I don't really want to change anything till then. And now that's an open book again. I remember having some hilarious jokes. I can't remember if they ever made them out publicly, but it was just like, look, man, if Dave Merritt just needs to have kids to stay locally, like they should just keep whatever they got to do, man. Whatever they got to do, just stay here.
Get them in the Kansas City school system right now.
now. Like, you guys start adopting. Kids are already in school. I really don't care. Let's just keep this family here. He deserves to be in those conversations. I think it might be to the Chiefs' benefit that he's not he's not like the face of the defense. And really, I have no data to back this up now that I'm thinking, and this is the first time I've had this thought this way, but like most of the time, I think you'll see, a defensive coordinator leaves to go be a head coach, and then he hires one of his guys as a defensive coordinator. You bring some of that staff, and then somebody on the staff gets the promotion, right? Spags isn't getting that head coaching call, even though I think it has been reasonable for a few off seasons where I think he's worth having the interview with. But I also understand, like, I adore Steve Spagnolo. This episode of 21 Questions could not be more pro Spags if Maria was on the show. Like that's the only way that could happen. But Maria, if you told me
Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark hosting 21 Questions, that might top what Josh and I are bringing to the equation.
Maybe. But if nothing else, it would accentuate the same energy. Like, it's all still 100% pro Spags. But you're right. That's a very good group. We should do that show at some point.
We should do that show.
BJ, get on it. Let's figure out how to get that one again. He's the guy. So with that being said, I understand, like, if you're telling me, like, I'm the Jags and I either get Steve Spagnolo getting another chance to be a head coach, or I'm bringing in Liam Cohen to try to fix this offense permanently. Yeah, no, I'm probably hiring Liam Cohen. But I think that's to the Chiefs' benefit, and hopefully the Dave Merritt hype doesn't get too loud, because genuinely, he seems like a great dude. I want him to get to do what he wants to do. I want him to have all the success in the world, but I am pretty comfortable being very selfish about Dave Merritt, because I just don't know that you can have more obvious success as a position coach than constantly turning day 2 and day 3 picks into legitimate starters and role players.
Absolutely. Full agree. And I mean, I have nothing more to add on the Dave Merritt conversation, because that is my exact thoughts. He has done nothing but proven it in this league. Yeah, absolutely nothing but proven it in this league. And I completely understand if, there are teams that are a little hesitant going, well, he's just a secondary coach, or he's just this, or he's just this. I think we've seen some of those seeds start to get planted by this coaching staff, specifically around, Dave really helped us out this week with that game plan. Dave really did that, like trying to, Andy Reid does that as well. Hey, remember how Matt Nagy called all the good plays this past week? He's, Andy is nothing if not, helpful to his coaching tree. Steve Spagnolo does a lot of the same things. I do think it is tied to his kids being in the Kansas City school system. I mean, I think if the right opportunity came calling, he'd certainly leave, obviously, but I think he's happy where he is right now. So, yeah, keep an eye on that when his kids aren't in the Kansas City school system anymore, which is really, please don't stalk Dave Merritt's kids and find out when they're leaving. No, please. I realize how that sounds. Please do not look at that. Just We'll know when we
do something not creepy, like encourage him and his wife to keep having kids. It's something not weird at all. A very normal.
No, Philip Rivers. I'm just saying.
Right.
I mean, does he have a Rivers? That he can work on there. All right, we are going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and talk a little more Spags on this very pro Spags version of 21 Questions.
Calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pre-game coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, you know, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
All right, we are back. Let's get into it. We teased it before the break here. We got a question here from Double Tag Trent, Nick. It's Nick Johnson, our guy here. Craig, I know you're convinced that Spags is going to the Hall of Fame. How long do you think it takes for him to get in? First of all, too long. It's going to be too long because it's an assistant coach, and assistant coaches don't traditionally get in. Like, it takes an insane run. Like, it takes something truly special to really look at that. I don't look at any of those like New England Patriots coaches and say, oh, hey, those guys are going to the Hall of Fame. Like Romeo Crennel was an incredible coach during that time period. And you know what? No, he's not getting in there. Buddy Ryan really revolutionized defense. He's not in. And he was a head coach, but like, it is ridiculously hard as an assistant coach to get in. But Steve Spagnolo not only has the rings, but has the moments. And I think that's what really matters. You cannot tell the story of the NFL without Steve Spagnolo and that defense. And I think that's really what's going to matter. The success of the New England Patriots and what the New York Giants were able to do to them matters so much. They broke up that the amazing season. We are going to be talking about that, telling our kids about that. That's going to be something that is going to continually be on this generation's mind, and that's going to matter for Steve Spagnolo. Then the fact that he's able to come to Kansas City, have the kind of success that he has, completely revolutionized defense to the point where all the national talking heads look at this defense and just go, it's Chris Jones, it's Trent McDuffie, and a bunch of dudes. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the thing? And right now, he's top 10 defense after 4 weeks, and will continue to be so. None of us had any doubt in our mind, with 3 completely different game plans, no less. Like, it is going to be something that will happen. It may be posthumously. That's the part that I'm really struggling with. One of those kind of legacy, historical Hall of Fame bids that get in there. I don't.
Whatever the old timers community. What's there's a whole other name for the second thing.
There is a whole other name, and I was kind of stalling to see if it would pop into my brain, and it didn't. So I appreciate that you're gonna fill this for me right here. But it is. I think that's really where it's probably going to come from, just because there are going to be so many guys from this Chiefs team. Andy Reid is certainly getting in. They're going to make all of this happen, that Steve Spagnolo, without another ridiculously successful head coaching opportunity here, I think it's going to be one of those that is going to be more of a legacy award. So that brings me to the point that you were talking about, Josh. Steve Spagnolo getting a head coaching job. I think the only job right now that I would be worried about Steve taking at the moment, the New York Giants job. Yeah. It's one of those that will probably be open in the near future. And that's not a hard sell for that fan base. Like, I know that's the one that I look at and I go, if one's gonna happen, it might be that. He's already dealt with the New York media. He's not afraid of that. He's home. I mean, that's home for him, that area. And they would welcome him back with open arms because of the moments that he's had in New York previously. And they just got done with an offensive coach that frankly could not fix their quarterback position. So why not try out somebody else? So that, I think, if he went on, coached another highly successful team, turned it into a perennial playoff team for the next 4 years, I think that bolsters his resume to get in before it being like a historical or a legacy nomination, Josh.
There also, so there's the senior screening committee for players who last appeared in the 2000 season, a blue ribbon committee. Whatever they call it in baseball must be different, because I think that's the term that I'm thinking of.
Gotcha.
It's like I think there's a different name for whatever that next.
There is, we see those guys that it's more, yeah.
I mean, I think it's also what ultimately solves some wrongs in terms of like the Negro Leagues history and the Monarchs and
right.
I think Buck O'Neill might have ended up getting in through whatever that veterans committee. Anyway,
I'll look that up.
Also give another, I don't know if you've read it or everyone listening has read it. Nate Taylor just had a story on ESPN about Steve Spagnuolo's like rise as a 3-sport athlete in high school, including as a quarterback in high school. And it's an absolute delight. I'm right there. So we ended up talking on Weird Games on Thursday a little bit about the like Hall of Fame thing. Not a lot. We're talking about it more here. But I hope that, obviously, I don't know. I always hope that people who earn that level of enshrinement are able to enjoy it for a while. The whole like posthumous induction into things always makes me a little bit sad, because we're celebrating this person for us and not celebrating it for them while they're here, right? So anyway, but I've thought the exact same like phrasing of you can't tell the story of the NFL without Steve Spagnolo, and on two different levels too. Like because you mentioned he was a pest at worst with the Giants, right? Where you go, man, he derailed this dynasty, and this here's the counterpunch to what the Patriots were able to do. But then in Kansas City, the thing that I think separates him from all the Belichick assistants is that it was Belichick's defense and arguably Belichick's offense puppeteered by Josh McDaniels, or I guess like Charlie Weiss before that, maybe, right? I don't know I can't remember what all of his OCs were, but like it was always Belichick's team on both sides of the ball. We hear Belichick and Brady, talk about the meetings that they were doing, the game plan meetings together and stuff. In Kansas City, it's Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Like, I'm sure Andy Reid has walked by the meeting room a time or two, but I really don't think that Andy Reid's in there with Nick Bolton, like going through the week's plays, like Belichick was doing with Brady on the offensive side. So I don't think it's homerism. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that no, Steve Spagnuolo deserves to be the guy to buck that trend as a Hall of Fame coordinator. And frankly, man, I actually would like to see that dam be opened a little bit. If you want to talk about the other coordinators, not just throughout history, but even the other guys who are making the biggest impact now, I feel like we should definitely have room for incredibly influential coordinators who elevate their players, who just didn't ever either get a bunch of chances at being a head coach or just never worked as a head coach. I know we don't talk about like kickers and punters in the Hall of Fame very often either, but I think if you are exceptional at your job in the sport of football, put GMs and assistant coaches, and you want to build me a Hall of Fame scout resume, I'm listening. Like, I think I think a more inclusive Hall of Fame that way is a good thing for the sport.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, listen, do we not think that Vic Fangio deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? I think
that's a great one. Yes.
I think he legitimately does. And Vic Fangio is not going to be a guy that we're going to consider from a head coaching perspective. Now, the difference is a lot of the offensive coordinators and those folks that do all of that, especially as of late, they all have head coaching jobs right now because you're part of the McVay-Shanahan tree. And, if you had dinner with them once, you're probably getting the job. So, I mean, like we're now to the point where those guys are kind of ruling themselves out of this equation. It's largely on the defensive side at the moment. And a guy like Vic Fangio that has been all over the place, had success all over the place, had a defensive scheme that everybody tried to replicate, decided, oh man, I got to do that, and failed at replicating it because you weren't Vic Fangio, that really matters. Like, it does. You, again, can't tell the story of the NFL without Vic Fangio. And that is one that, like, open those dams. Get guys like Spags, Fangio. I realize this is the defensive guy preaching about defense again, but, you know, I think that we absolutely should be doing that right now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cote19 asks, who will lead the Chiefs in rushing this season? Josh, just so you know, currently, through 4 weeks of the season, Patrick Mahomes leads the Chiefs with 130 yards rushing. Isaiah Pacheco has 127, and Kareem Hunt has 113, and then it's Xavier Worthy with 38. Who's gonna finish the season on top of that list?
I think it's still Isaiah Pacheco, man. I know no one's excited because his season has started so poorly. But I just think that until further notice, I think the team is still expecting to get something out of him. I think he was still, I thought I'm not exaggerating. I thought his season might have ended the second time he was moving backwards and facing towards the end zone as Patrick Mahomes tried to check him the ball. I really thought that might have been the last time we saw him for a while. Like, in the moment, I was like, okay, well, we're probably not seeing him the rest of the game today, and maybe next week Elijah Mitchell's active and he's not. Or Elijah Mitchell's active and he's just the fourth running back in case of emergency.
Such an indictment on the room as a whole.
It is.
That was the case, yeah.
It is. But that's really where my head was at, and I think this doesn't solve his vision. This doesn't make him a better player necessarily right now. But I was glad that he caught that touchdown because it was like, hey man, just here's the football. And after dropping what might have been a touchdown earlier, here's the football. You've caught it. You're taking it into the end zone. You're celebrating. Your energy's back up. Like, there's just a little bit of a vibe restoration there. I just think he's got to get the most carries from here. I think Kareem Hunt could end up with 50 more carries. It still might be Isaiah Pacheco. Kareem Hunt is going for 3.5 yards per carry, which is valuable. His role on this team, I wasn't totally convinced when they were making their moves this offseason. But hey, man, it's the old bit of like, you need 3 yards, I'll get you 3 yards. You need 4 yards, I'll get you 3 yards. There's real value in that. There was a bit years ago, I think it might have been a Levitard show thing. I can't remember. We might have even ended up talking about it around here at some point, of just like how valuable is a player who would always get you exactly 1 yard every time they touch the ball. And the Eagles have kind of created that with the tush push. Just, we're going to do it as a team, but they've done that since that conversation was going around. Kareem Hunt's not literally that, but he's helpful that way. But he's not going to have a 100-yard game this year. There's no chance. I mean, Pacheco might not either. But I could see Isaiah Pacheco at some point ending up with like a 15-carry, 75-yard game that's just enough for him to end up leading the room.
Yeah, I get that. Pacheco feels like a vibes runner, right? Like a little bit like a vibes runner. So I like that analysis of he got in the end zone, energy was up. Like, it feels like, oh, I'm going to run just a little bit harder. You know, there are guys like that, you know, again, the hot hand is a thing. Like, it really is a thing there. Just to kind of, you know, stat check you here. Kareem Hunt, 3.2 yards per carry, has the most carries on this team. Perfect. Right now. So, perfect. Yeah. So those things definitely line up. The answer is Breece Hall. Moving on. Neil asks, the talk around Breshard Smith is that they're ramping him up, giving him more and more plays. Let's fast forward to him at 100% capacity for this rookie year specifically. What's a realistic expectation for him? Is there a player-ish comp that we could get, whether former Chief or running back on another team, Josh?
I just talked about the running backs for like 2 full minutes. You can go first. Breshard Smith.
I mean, this feels like, you know, DeAnthony Thomas or, you know, maybe Darwin Thompson, the way that they wanted to use those guys, not necessarily, you know, those exact kind of players, because Breshard Smith doesn't try and jump over every defender that is in his path like Darwin Thompson did. God, that was so fun. Horrifically inefficient, but so fun. I think that's what we're going to see. Very little in between the tackles runs. They'll be there every once in a while, but largely stretch runs to the outside, working in the passing game. His 100% right now, and he could prove me wrong here. I think we all are so anxious for him to get on the field from a passing down perspective because we see the vision there on early downs when they're using him. Problem is, when you're on the field in passing down situations, and that's something that you're being tasked with, third downs, everybody's going to blitz Breshard Smith and hope that they can get through a smaller back that struggles a little bit in pass protection because he hasn't had a ton of reps. This is not saying he can't get better in future years, but in this rookie year, that's a lot to put on that guy. And you are just now getting to the point where you feel like you can get 5 out in the route, that this offensive line can block up your plays a little bit more. And again, from a wide ship perspective, you want to go down the field. You want to be able to play in the 15 to 40 yard range a lot more often than you've been able to in the past several years. Breshard Smith helps when he's catching the ball, but not so much when you have to ask him stay into pass protect. So I think we'll continue to see a lot of what we do on third downs right now. He'll be out there in a role. I know we're all excited about Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, maybe Juju, Hollywood, whoever it is on the field together in those third down roles with Travis Kelce on the field. I think we're going to see him mixed in a little bit in place of some of those guys just to try and see how defenses are going to counter it with a guy like Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Lots of two-back stuff with him in motion and him, kind of orbiting around, trying to get the matchup that they want, because Breshard Smith on a linebacker, that's great in coverage. Breshard Smith on a linebacker as a blitz pickup, not my favorite scenario. So I think it'll be more like the D'Anthony Thomas, Darwin Thompson role for Breshard Smith this year.
I think that's right. I think any sort of stretch run opportunity should be going to him first. Like I do want it. He can actually get there, and I'd like to see him continue. Because if he can just do that on a relative, you obviously can't do that every time. But if you can do that at a relatively high, relatively consistent level, that's valuable. And I wanted to say, like, if on just in the backfield, if he can do some of the like McCole Hardman motion stuff, that's great. But the problem there, McCole Hardman was a second round pick wide receiver, and Breshard Smith, despite being a converted wide receiver, is playing running back now. And he's not second year McCole Hardman in terms of what defenses have to do to respect him as a pass catcher. So now that Xavier Worthy's back, really the guy you want doing most of those notions is Xavier Worthy. Like that's the gear that you have back in the offense now. So when Rashee Rice is back out there, I'm probably not asking Breshard Smith to do that, because I'd rather the defense be respecting Xavier Worthy's speed and route running ability than just the fastest running back that's on this roster. So I do think it's a little bit muddy, but I think that it could be worse than muddy right now, because that at least implies that there are like some things you can like lurch for in the running back room. Just try to specialize what they can do a little bit, but you can't do that so severely that you've shown the defense exactly what you want to happen.
I mean,
therein lies the rub.
Yeah, therein lies the rub. Therein lies week 1 and week 2 of this offense, where it was the 2007 Philadelphia Eagles playbook, and everybody knew what was coming, and it looked hard. So you don't want to give that tell, but those motions, they matter so much. Like his involvement and running those sorts of things in the past 2 weeks, game and a half essentially, has been a significant difference for how they can block things up, how they can get guys open. It really, he moves the needle, just not in some of the ways that I think everybody wants him to right now. And just kind of to tag up on that, Tater 2025 asked what week he thinks Breshard Smith starts at RB. He says he thinks it's week 10. I don't think he's starting at running back this year. I don't. I think he's just going to be a guy that mixes in. I don't think he's ever going to be the primary back this season.
Do you think there's a game where he gets 10 touches?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think maybe it'll come against a team that's going to, I think this is going to be Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton have joined the field together with Rashee Rice running in the middle of the field, and now defenses are going, damn it, we got to play our too high shell. We got to make sure that the Chiefs hit on a couple more of these deep passes, and the soft parts of the defense are underneath. They're going to run a lot of flood concepts, things like that. And there's just going to be a game where it's going to be, well, Breshard is, in the flat with room to run. I'm going to check it down to him again. Like, it's going to be one of those types of games. I do think he'll get 10 touches, and I think he'll make the most. I think it'll be like a, 10-touch, 85-yard game with maybe a touchdown, and we'll all be like, yes.
Everybody's going to pick him up in fantasy, and then next week you're going to have 2 touches.
I definitely don't have him on my bench right now, but I did after but anyway, it's one of those that, people are going to really kind of see the vision of how he can be used. And it's really just going to be more of a specific game plan thing where a defense just comes out and says, we're going to throw a curveball and try and play the shell over the top. And Breshard Smith just gets to take advantage of that. That is a good thing. I mean that in the best possible way. So I do think that there'll be one of those. But also Tater 2025 says he's over the use of juice when referring to that. I'm sorry, I've definitely said that about 16 times.
Give us some alternates. Give us some other options.
He did. It means.
Okay.
Speed, quickness, great player. Said whatever, just please enough.
No, we need another shorthand. Another short.
Bursty, exciting.
None of those are quite as visceral.
Dynamic.
Dynamic is closer, but see, I don't need somebody to be dynamic. Isaiah Pacheco hasn't ever really been dynamic, but he has had juice. He doesn't have elite speed or quickness, but he's had juice. Juice, Tater. He's had juice.
Juice. Yes. Gonna go down and drink some grapefruit juice after we finish this. And speaking of which, we're going to throw to a break so that we can catch our breath a little bit. We're going to come back with some of your non-Chiefs questions. I know what some of you are very excited for right after this.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown, it's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We are back. Final segment, 21 questions. We are going to hold our hands up for the entire remaining 21 questions.
Let me fix my posture.
We joked about this before because this is the silly part of the episode. I have to put one hand down because I have to scroll to the questions here. So I realize I am at a yes. I'm putting them down then. If that's what the goal was, I've already lost, and I'm okay. Yes. I'm okay with doing that. Kyle C asks, would you rather it be 110 degrees with humidity outside or 15-degree wind chill outside?
15.
Are you hot?
15.
15.
I couldn't. That second one could have been. It could have been. Would you rather have it be 115 degrees and humid, or would you rather be outside nude in the snow? And I was like, I'll be outside nude in the snow. That's fine. That's fine.
Yes. I this is the easiest answer in the world for me. I moved to Colorado. My goodness, I am now to the point where I am such a wimp about this. I was back in Kansas for a wedding just last weekend, and I got out of my car. All of these folks that live in Kansas are tired of me commenting, texting, saying that as soon as I get into Kansas, I'm like, how is this a thing? I can't do this. I did it for 17 years in that specific area. And for the first almost 40 years of my life, I lived in Kansas, dealt with this 100-degree weather and humidity. It is ridiculous. I don't get it. I can't do it. I just wilt now. Like I completely wilt. Is anybody watching the video? I am wearing a hoodie right now.
I was jealous when I logged in, just to continue to cement my standing in this, because right now it's 76 degrees today. It's still early, and it's going to get hotter as we go. We're getting like close to fall weather around here. I do have a couple of notes here and there on some things I might change in this wonderful state of Missouri that I live in now. I lived in Kansas for the first 25 years of my life or whatever, and I've been in Missouri now for a little while. And I've great love for the Great Plains, Midwest, whatever.
Yes, me too. Me too.
But man, I hate our weather most of the time. And I hate that feeling of being like sweaty, sticky, whatever. On the other hand, I have a real soft spot for the Southwest. My grandparents moved to Arizona when I was pretty young, so we went out there a lot. And so that's why I'm a Suns fan, is because they moved out there. Well, Renee and I went back out and did a whole New Mexico, Arizona trip. And it's hot, but they say it's a dry heat. And you hate to know this, they're right. It's different. And so it sucks. It's just like 110 degrees in Phoenix, and being in the city is not a whole lot of fun still, just because it's like I'm just hot. There are people are all driving. The pavement will melt your shoes.
Right.
I am always wishing that my office here was the perfect temperature for either a hoodie or one of my cardigans or something. I would much rather cozy up than strip down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You put that on a t-shirt. Or actually, no, you can't. You can put that on a hoodie or a tank top. No.
There you go. I would. Oh, and then you could flip them for the hoodie.
Yeah.
Tucker, my friend. Let's go, buddy.
Tucker,
you know what's better?
55% me, 45% KCSN.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was no. Some of my favorite places. Speaking of that, I love Savannah, Georgia. I do. I have a very soft spot for that. It's mostly food related. You have to have like top tier food, and I will ignore the humidity. I will sweat my ass off if I get to eat like top tier food. New Orleans is the same way. I will be a disgusting, sweaty mess if I get to eat just this ridiculously awesome jambalaya or gumbo or something. Like, I will absolutely do that. But it is heat with humidity, dry heat, cold, and then where I am, dry cold.
Oh, it's the best.
It is the best. And just to bring up something that I sent to our group chat that Josh was in a little bit earlier. I think maybe this was yesterday. I don't know. This week's been a blur.
I've got like 50 unread, so you're about to break some news to me.
Right. Yeah, no. The whole fellas, we're entering soup weather here. And I could just the disdain from several members of the chat to just be like, shut up. Like, I don't know.
How dare you?
No, I hate you right now. So
if I eat soup right now, I'll start sweating.
I mean, but it will be worth it, right?
This is, well, it depends how good the soup is. For your soup, probably. We're going to be in Savannah, Georgia. It'll be my first time there for a friend's wedding in April, and I'm just going to need a menu from you. I'm just
yeah. You can just hit me up. I have spent a lot of time in Savannah, Georgia for work purposes, so I have food recommendations, including a restaurant that used to be an old pirate hideout, which is straight up your alley. So anyway,
unbelievable. One of our dear friends getting married is whatever, I guess, but we finally a reason to go to Savannah. That's amazing.
All right, let's go down to another one here. Mike Denny asks, I'm trying to dabble in dumb watches. Do you have a favorite timepiece? Josh, I don't know. Are you a watch guy?
Oh, dumb. I was thinking about movies instantly when I heard dumb watches. Like, yeah.
We'll go down that path after this.
We formally talked about Hundreds of Beavers on everything else on Friday, and
Gotcha.
No, I just for a while I had a cheap Apple Watch that I wore because I could get my blood sugar on there, which is really helpful. Just be able to look at my wrist and know what my blood sugar is. That's nice. But I got kind of tired of it, and so I've been wearing this Casio straight out of a stereotype about the rest of my being. I haven't bought a watch in 100 years. So no, I'm really not. I can see them and be interested in them. I acknowledge other people's expensive watches as like a neat thing. It is not my speed at all. I do not have that kind of disposable income or the love for them, frankly.
Right. I think if I got in, it would be a problem. Like I appreciate them. Like that's the thing.
Yep.
Like I really appreciate them. An individual that we're gonna hang on.
This rules, actually. I want this GIF.
We could do this GIF for you, definitely. But luckily we're not live. Yeah, put it in.
I wish we were.
It happens live occasionally too.
The way you just like two-faced there. There we go. You're back.
Yeah. Okay.
You got a screenshot.
Here we go on that one.
Hold on. No, I think it's gonna. Oh.
Go for it.
We're good. Okay, sorry. My computer finally realized I was trying to take a screenshot, and then it froze everything. And now I'm good too.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna here 39 this and then glitch. Sorry, Tuck. Having to make you do extra work.
Sorry. It won't happen again.
Okay. Won't happen again, I promise. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's one of those things that like I feel like if I got into it, like it would be like a thing that I got like way too into. It'd be bad for my wallet. Like it really would. Got a guy that a German guy that I work with that is a dumb watch appreciator. And, when I'm in meetings and things like that with him, I talked to him about it. And it got to the point where I finally got, okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. And then I started looking them up and I went, oh my God. Okay, well, never mind. No, those are beautiful and awesome, but absolutely not. I cannot afford to be in that game. I appreciate people that are because I get to see them and I get to appreciate them. But unfortunately, Mike, not one of those guys. So
not your podcast network for that one, Mike. Apologies.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. Lee 87, quick one for you here. Josh, would it be possible to have you interview the Katz brothers on everything else?
I would love to. If anyone has the information to set that up, I would be delighted. I bet it doesn't happen.
What would the first question be?
How'd all three of you fit in that small little section of seats? Were your guys' legs touching Chris Jones as you tried to give him some space? I mean, you guys were crammed in there. What was the view like week one? How did you decide that both of you needed to be there? Or beside Chris, was it ever suggested that maybe Chris sit on the left or right of both of you? Or did you guys demand that it was bookending Chris Jones? Or was that Chris's idea, perhaps?
Aesthetically, they have to be bookends, right? You can't go Katz, Chris. Like, you can't.
I just need to hear it from them. As far as they know, I might be asking because I'm a big fan.
That's true. I genuinely thought your first question was going to be, how dare you?
I'm willing to take that on. I'll consider that too.
First question, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Yeah, that.
I would love to actually just interview NFL agents. Just kind of, I honestly probably shouldn't. It was probably a bad idea for me on a variety of levels.
I'm about to say something here that's going to sound weird. We get to talk with a few of them, doing our like shrine stuff that we do at the East West Shrine game. There are lots of agents around there that are either representing clients that are there or, in some cases, there are people that are unrepresented at some of these games, and agents come and hang out. I would say, and this is going to surprise people, about 60% of them are completely normal people that are very reasonable, that are just really good at negotiating. So like when you're standing on the sidelines talking to them about things, like they know ball, they know things, they know how to approach things and all of that. And they seem like completely and totally normal people. And then you see their faces plastered everywhere because, oh, this agent is doing this and this agent is doing that. It's like, man, I stood next to that individual for a while and I had a good conversation that did not seem contentious, and so I do think that a lot of times they are painted as the bad guys or girls or, whoever the case may be, but they are pretty normal people. And I realize that's going to seem very bootlicking of me, but it's just my personal experience with those.
I think everyone's understanding of how all this works opens up when you know how to read tweets like Tom Pelissero's from this morning about how much interest Justin Tucker is getting right now. So I'm just I'm going to name his name because he's just like, he put this on social media. Tom Pelissero tweeted this morning, 7-time Pro Bowl kicker Justin Tucker is working out at his alma mater, the University of Texas, where he recently recreated his 18 game-winning field goals from 2012 to 24. Tucker, 35, is eligible to return from suspension November 11th and already has interest from several teams. Here's what I would ask you. If he already has interest from several teams, why do the promo?
Yep.
He's trying to drive that number up? No, you're not. He doesn't have real interest. He doesn't have real interest from several teams. He was cut from the Ravens, quote, for football reasons before ultimately getting the book landing on all of the sexual misconduct stuff. The ecosystem of agent, team, insider, that triangular relationship there is something that I think more and more people are understanding better and better, and it's the most you can kind of start to see the matrix a little bit, I think, in terms of how all that works. Because you just I've talked about this a few times, but just ask yourself, who does this tweet benefit in negotiations, in the team was expecting, well, then you know where it came from. The player's concerned, well, you know where it came from. This free agent's looking good and available. I don't have to be a PI to get to the bottom of that one.
I think it's funny watching the way that Adam Schefter has been viewed over the past decade. Like I think as people have become more wise to all of that, and part of that is because agents are coming out and speaking on their own behalf more often, and some teams and coaches and things like that are as well. Certainly not Andy Reid or the Chiefs. These, other teams and things like that. We
really don't end up with a lot of that around here. It's why the Katz Brothers thing honestly stands out. That negotiation is so public and so sloppy.
Right. There's just like, what is happening? This feels gross. Is this what other teams have to deal with all the time? I don't like this. I'm tired of talking about it, sort of deal. Yeah. But, I think that as we've gotten more visibility into that, there's become a lot more, that feels gross that's out there right now. It's a different thing. So
I'll lick one more boot also, since you already went over there. I'll say this: the agents are important to the ecosystem, because otherwise you have players whose job is to play football who could be taken advantage of by teams left and right because they don't have a professional negotiator there for them. So they have an important, like almost mandatory role in this. It's just that a lot of it ends up being icky, and that's everybody shares the ball on that one. It does.
Especially. These guys have such a short window to get money. Like, pay people to get you more. Like, I know that, they take this percentage of it. Trust me, guys. Like, the difference between that and what they would get trying to negotiate themselves, we've seen it happen regularly, is so much more than 10%. Like, it is. It's so much more than that. So, yeah, okay. Enough agent. I feel gross. Let's move on. Let's move on here. All right. Grayson asks, Craig, you have 7 minutes with Craig. What would Maddie's segment be named? I think that this is worth doing for several of our KCSN individuals here. 7 minutes with Craig. Maddie's segment would be 14 minutes of antagonizing the chat, maybe.
Seth's version of 7 minutes with Craig would be Seth answers one question.
I mean, that's really what 7 minutes with Craig is too.
Nate's would be Nate answers one question, parentheses, sometimes only dogs can hear the answer. That's
yeah, I like that one. Kent's would be 30 seconds with Kent because I'm tired and I'm ready to be done. Yeah.
Hey man, that's a father, all right? It's gotten it done for him.
Listen, no shade, a lot of shade. But yeah,
my 7 minute segment is Josh waits for Seth and Nate to hop on the StreamYard. My 7 minutes is 4:30 to 4:37 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday.
And Tucker's is just, I mean, you guys, you're doing your live shows during the week now. So I love that everybody gets to see those. So, I mean, you luckily have been, able to do this for quite some time. You've been on the radio. People have gotten to know you. I told you a story about on a trip back to Kansas.
Yes.
That, happened to be at a small town just on the outskirts of Colorado. Guy walks up wearing a Chiefs shirt, and in my traditional fashion, I went, "Where do you get your Chiefs news from?"
Oh man, Craig, I almost just said it better not be, and then I realized no, we're still doing a podcast.
Yeah, we are still doing 21 questions.
I shouldn't say,
but this individual brought up several things, and one of the things was Joshua Briscoe. So yeah, I got to say, oh, well, that's wonderful. And they asked, is he as nice as he seems in person? I said, absolutely not. And that was the end of our conversation. No, I had nothing but effusive praise. But yeah, no, it's so you've had that chance, but I think people are getting to see what we get to see with Tucker behind the scenes a lot more in not a host mode, just kind of like a vibes mode. And he's one of my favorite human beings, and I love that that's the case. So,
me too.
All right, let's wrap up with this one here, because I have a feeling we may go for a bit. Mike Denny, back for another question here. Briscoe, if Craig came on as a guest for Non-Chiefs Talk, what would this segment be about?
Oh, fantastic. We did it before this show today. I have had that thought of, like, obviously the show is from noon to 1. And so I'm like, it's always going to be, Craig, you just kind of have like an open invite. If you just have like an itch to talk about something explicitly non-Chiefs related and you're open during the noon to 1 central hour, you just let me know and we'll just figure it out. No, we were talking about video games and board games for the majority of like half an hour before we started just now, or before we started an hour ago, because that, I don't know. I mean, he's literally right now, if you're not watching on the video, Craig has a bookshelf of board games behind him and NBA Street demos playing on a loop on the TV behind him here. And that's the stuff that I do when I'm not doing, like, it is obviously a tremendous gift to be able to have football and specifically Chiefs stuff in the work bucket. I will always be remarkably grateful for that. And I love Thursday night football and Monday night football. I guess this week, Monday night. I'm thrilled. This weekend, for example, I'm elated to have a full day of Red Zone and Quad Box and whatever. I'm so thrilled. Because I lose that when the Chiefs play on Sunday. Simply, I'm on air 3 hours before the game and 2 hours after the game, and the whole time it's live. We're locked in. So I don't get to have the Red Zone days as often. So I'm elated for that. I love football. But then when my brain's leaving that, I'm surrounded by movie posters, music posters, and video game stuff. And just this week, I was telling Renee and Renee's family that we just need, I mean, they're my in-laws now too. I guess we're all, but we're slicing the family tree here a little bit. I was telling them, like, I just want to play more board games with you guys. And my mother-in-law was like, I want to play more board games. And my brother-in-law was like, I want to play more board games. And I looked at Renee and I went, kind of seems like one of us here is the problem. Like that. It's like, I was just, so genuinely, I was asking Craig before the show, like, hey, what's a 2-player game that you and your wife play that Renee and I might be able to play to kind of get, Renee loves playing games in general, but like just setting up a board game, whatever, is a kind of a mark you got to clear. So that's probably what it would be. We have discussed an entire podcast that we would do together if we started a show. But that's different. That's different for right now.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the people what that podcast?
I don't yet, because I will tell you. I'll give you 2 reasons why after the show.
Okay.
I'll tell you 2 reasons that I don't want to reveal that.
Sounds good. No, I mean, and to Josh's point, he asked me, okay, 2-player board games. And I gave him too many recommendations, to the point where, like, I was going down a rabbit hole where I was like, if you start with this, you can maybe build to this and get to this and here's the game and all of that. And, to Josh's point, we talk football a lot. There's a lot of football conversation that occurs, but it's Josh and I share similar movie preferences, similar board game, video game, music preferences. It is very easy. So there would be, like, that's one of those drop in, drop out, easy to talk pop
Dropout
culture.
is another thing that we could talk about.
Dropout is another thing that we could absolutely talk about. That I watch way too much improv comedy of as well, So, like, we share a lot of very similar, likes, dislikes, things like that. And so it makes it very easy. So yes, this would not be a hard thing for us to just, to the point, what we did before we started recording this podcast would be half of your show. And that was with us trying to truncate it so that we could go and record this show. If the point was to talk about that sort of stuff, oh man, I shudder to think of how long we could go off on tangents about all of that. So that's why we've created the Discord in the way that we have. So if you're not a member of the KCSN Discord, there are channels for all of this stuff. Selfishly, I have broken them out into channels that they get used all the time for all of these different purposes: music, movies, video games, board games, all of that. We get to chat about that all the time. I love chatting about that. I know Josh does as well. That is just my promo once again for the KCSN Discord that brought us this show that we're wrapping up right now. Joshua, I really appreciate you joining me today. This was wonderful. This was delightful. Tell the people about everything that you have going on this network and why they should be tuning into you 12 to 1 on Mondays and Fridays.
Because we're having a darn good time over there on everything else with Joshua Briscoe. It's on the KCSN YouTube channel, the same place where you watch The Lab and Weird Games and everything else that we put out in the video form. We're live from noon to 1-ish. We have not gotten done before 1 in quite a while. Isn't that shocking? I know. And I really I really put my foot down and I want to do this show 2 times a week. We have 2 hours. It's going to be tight and there's nothing. We're not filling anything, And then I was every day. It's like, oh man, we had to skip 3 topics. But it's a lot of me, and it's a lot of me and Tucker Monday and Friday for the hour there. You can also get it wherever you get your podcast. It has its own feed, so it's not in the usual KCSN Chiefs feed, in large part because it's not purely a Chiefs show, but it's mostly a Chiefs show right now. It's like 40 minutes of Chiefs and then like 20 minutes of everything else, which is obviously the kind of the core conceit there. It feels more like the old radio show in a way that's been really nice. And then, of course, Only Weird Games with Seth Kaiser and Nate Taylor of ESPN, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Don't worry about what time it starts. It's on eventually. It starts in the second half of the 4 o'clock hour most of the time. And that's an absolute blast-ish. Yeah, it's all very, very approximate. And I've got Chiefs Radio Network stuff happening too. If you're driving around in the Kansas City area, 96.5 The Fan, 3 hours of pregame with 2 local hours there. And anywhere where there might be an affiliate, the network pregame is an hour before kickoff, or actually it's the hour before. So, it starts at 7:15. We're on at 6. Mm-hmm. Or however you do your time zones. So that's like across the country now. You can listen to that on the internet, also on desktop and stuff. It's very easy to fire up that way, and it's been an absolute blast. It's been a totally different animal, but in a very good way. So yeah, I've had a busy start to the football season in a very, very gratifying way so far. So as long as I can find some time to play Hades 2, I think I'm going to make it. Yeah, we are going to close up this so that both of us can go play Hades 2 right now. I am Craig Stout. That is Joshua Briscoe. Thank you all for joining us. Be kind to each other, and we will catch you later.